Hey everyone, welcome back to Data and Donuts. My name is Aaron. I'm here with my friend and colleague, Z Reisz today. Today we're going to talk a little bit about transitioning your position from an analyst into a director and what that's been and what that really takes. And so before we get into our conversation today, I'd like Z to introduce himself.
Hey everyone, my name is Z Reisz. I am the senior director up at Santa Barbara City College. I've been in the role for about 5 years there, and it's kind of came into Santa Barbara City College right out of grad school. So it's really been kind of my first time in kind of career going job. Had a lot of jobs before then and always hoped to be in higher ed, and really lucked out getting here. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Excellent, excellent. So as you talked about that with the different jobs and experiences you had, what skills do you really feel prepared you for this position and the position of senior director primarily?
Oh yeah, that's a good question, Aaron. So yeah, I mean, there's kind of a whole lot of skills that you're going to use as a senior director, as a director, and or a dean in IARP. Kind of the bases. You got to have a good foundation in research design, and we're not talking about like the really complex things that you'll see in some of the behavioral analytics, but really just, do you understand kind of the basics, those real fundamental elements of research and design? So things about sampling, generalizability. It's going to be a lot of the questions that you're going to need to help navigate your campus through as they try to take their information and then move it to other cohorts, whether they're talking about, does the data we collected about our new fall 2017 or fall 19 cohort generalize to future ones or not? So a lot of that work of really helping people get through, understanding the research and then generalizing it appropriately so that, what you found is really going to speak to what you want it to. So that's a big one. I mean, that's just the base of the job. You got to have that. The next one, customer relations. I think I've got almost 16, 17 years plus of experience in some sort of customer relations job, whether it's serving up coffee, fixing up bikes, but that's critical. Like at the end of the day, when you're talking with everyone across campus, you are doing customer relations. So you got to like people, you got to like working with people. And that kind of goes right in with teaching, because you're also going to be helping a whole lot of people come to terms with data. And some of them don't like data and are totally scared of it. Some of them love it. But either way, you're going to be helping people navigate through kind of their questions, what they're trying to figure out, and how you're going to provide data to them. So you've got to be good with talking with people and helping them kind of be comfortable with data, especially those people on campus that are really uncomfortable with data, because there's a few of them out there for sure. And then you got kind of project management. You're going to have to be able to do project management because you're going to have a whole number of projects coming through your office, and you're going to need to be able to stay on top of those, make sure they're moving forward and all that kind of stuff, really just the nuts and bolts. And then there's this kind of little funny one that I didn't really expect to be a major one, but file management. We end up being the repository for a lot of information, whether they're reports, whether it relates to evidence for accreditation. So you're going to need some good skills about managing those files. And that's kind of the gist of it. So you got to be good in your foundational research and methods. You got to like talking with people. You got to have good customer relations. You got to enjoy teaching and bringing people along with you on your data journey. You got to manage those projects, and you got to keep your files organized.
Excellent, excellent. Which really leads into the next question is working up and going through the field in your different jobs. What skills, when you were an analyst or researcher, has really helped propel your job and help you navigate the departmental operations as a senior director?
Yeah, so I think, the main thing that is just absolutely wonderful coming up from an analyst position into a director position is that the work. And that's the thing that you'll always be trying to navigate with the rest of the campus is they're probably not going to understand the difficulty of the questions they're asking. When they want, the new data set for their enrollment management plan, and they're like, can I have that by next week? You're like, well, you could. We're going to have to drop everything else we're working on because what you're asking is actually a really complex question when it comes to how we're going to pull that out. So really having that kind of strong understanding of what's involved in doing the work. So you can do this nice kind of cost benefit analysis, because unfortunately, a lot of our offices are going to be kind of pressed for resources. We aren't going to be able to answer every question that is just kind of, hey, I'm curious about this. God, I want to be there at some day where we can just answer everyone's curiosity. But for the time being, we really have to kind of step back and say, okay, I know you're answering this, but how are you going to use that information to enact change on our campus to improve our students' experience? So that's really kind of the best thing coming out of a research analyst job going into this you're really well suited to do that kind of cost benefit analysis of here's what you're asking. Is it going to get the benefit we need for how much it's going to cost us to do?
That's awesome. No, I completely agree. Having that practical perspective really leads and helps navigate, especially when requests come in, competing priorities happen, and then resource allocation. And then goes to our next question is, what's the biggest differences between the position of a director, senior director, and an analyst?
Yeah, so the first thing that's going to change in your life is your meeting to analysis ratio. You're going to go from like, spending most of your time with your computer and your data, kind of crafting beautiful scripts to pull that data out, or really working with that data to understand what it's telling you, to being in meetings. You're going to be in a lot of meetings. So that's going to be the biggest thing that's going to change. The next thing that's going to change is really going to be what kind of work you're going to do. You're going to move out of really implementing decisions and doing those analyses to leading and advising and selling and integrating decisions. So you're going to be working across campus to really become a integrator and understanding as people try to make decisions, advising them about what kind of information we can provide them to help guide that decision. And then really, once decisions are made, making sure that those are easily and readily kind of spread across all of your campus committees and constituencies so that people kind of understand why that decision is being made when it's appropriate and needed. So leading, selling, and integrating decisions, your scope of work is also just going to generally broaden. So, and there's no way to there's a lot of ways you can anticipate where it's going to go, but you need to be ready that you're going to have some professional development that you're going to do on the side, no matter what your background is. There's going to be some part of this job where you're just like, huh? Yeah, okay, I don't know anything about that. And you're going to need to have like the chops to go figure it out. And luckily we got people like Aaron and the research and planning group out there to kind of help us along with that. We got a great community here for that. And I guess the last two things are really, you're going to start to become an employee developer. So your work is going to start changing where you're going to start focusing on your team and what you can do to strengthen your team and make sure that they're doing better, learning more, and becoming even more skilled each year. So, really starting to focus on how do you develop your team and keep strengthening it to broaden their capacities and skills. And then the last and kind of least fun of this is you're going to have a lot of just administrative work that is kind of tedious and not that great, but it's got to get done.
Most definitely. Yeah, I think we can all talk about administrative trivia and all the fun, fantastic things they assign with other duties assigned for us in our job descriptions. Yes. And I think that's a great representation comparing the differences. And so for a lot of analysts or other individuals looking to enter the world of management, what recommendations would you have for them?
First time thing you got to step back and do a nice long consideration of, do you like spending most of your days with people? If you kind of sit down and you think about your ideal and day, and 80% of it is kind of in your office, working with your data, kind of playing around in there, then this is going to be a pretty tough transition because you're really going to quickly ratio into a lot less analysis and a lot more meetings. So think about that. Do you really like working with people? Because that's going to be a lot of work. Once you figure that out, then the rest is kind of start becoming really involved in the development of the vision and mission for your department. Start thinking through, okay, how does this department integrate with the rest of the college so that we can continually improve the student experience? And kind of that little step back of, okay, I've been working as an analyst in this job for, several years, but now stepping back and thinking about, okay, what does this department do to help serve the college and improve students' experience, and really starting to develop that understanding and integration of the college, of your department with the college at large. So then the next one is really wherever you're at, start becoming an integrator. You want to start trying to increase your involvement in integrating your research results with planning and action. That is probably the most, if you want to say one general statement about what all of these kind of leadership roles in research and planning it is to integrate across campus. You want to integrate planning, you want to integrate the data, you want to integrate all of these activities so you really start to become a nice ecosystem that collaborates and cooperates and really moves forward well. So, start thinking of yourself as an integrator and start kind of going beyond just, here's your research results to saying, okay, here's your research results. How are you going to use this in your planning? Okay, year one's come through. Here's your results. What did you do and you thought it was going to change this? And really starting to work with people so you're seeing that full picture of, planning, research and assessment, then kind of coming back around to planning. So kind of looking at that. And then you're going to want to broaden your soft skills. Listening, teaching, and meeting facilitation. That is a huge part of the job. You need to be able to hear what people are saying, listen to them, understand kind of the difficulties that they're facing, their comfort level with the data, and then start coaching them through where they need places to kind of improve or where you can help them out. And more than likely, you're going to find yourself in a lot of meetings. So kind of brushing up on meeting facilitation skills, how to structure a good meeting so that it's an effective use of everyone's time and it actually moves forward on your kind of work product. And I think those would be kind of the main things that I would really start thinking about if you're a research analyst, a senior analyst, and you're starting to think, okay, I think I'd like to take control of this department and really help this department integrate into college and help kind of the college move together. It's, start thinking of yourself as an integrator and figuring out all the places you can bring the college together and get them glued nice and tightly.
Awesome. No, I completely agree. And I really feel that for a lot of offices, that's really the next step is institutional research and effectiveness does not live in one office. It blends itself throughout others, being, like you said, the facilitator, not just the purveyor of data, but the person that follows up and engages with others. It really taking what they used to call the sting out of data and really making it just as simple language, strengthening that data literacy. So thank you so much for those recommendations. That's awesome.
You got to meet people where they're at with data. You can't expect them to be where you're at because there's not going to be too many people on your campus that are at the same place where you are with data. So, if it's just dealing with one metric over time, that's where we're starting.
You know what? And sometimes that's the only way. And then, one, then two, then three. So I completely agree. That's awesome. And so this show wouldn't be called Data and Donuts without a few bonus questions. And so for the first bonus question is, what's your favorite type of donut?
Oh, dang, that's a tough one. There's a lot of good donuts out there in the world. I think I got to go with, I don't even know what the thing's called, but I know what it looks like. It's a little donut with all the blueberries and it doesn't have too much icing on it. And I don't know what I think maybe it's an old school one, but that thing is delicious. Then you also got the French curler donut, also amazing. Bear Claw, childhood favorite. I mean, can you really go wrong in a donut store?
I completely agree. It's actually really funny because a few of our other colleagues I've talked to have said the blueberry donut, and that's one of my favorite donuts too. It has light icing. It's just blueberries throughout. It's phenomenal. It almost doesn't even feel like a donut. It's almost like a blend of cake and donut, but it's fantastic. So I would say, yeah, it's like a blueberry bagel. What's the difference? And so, but then the next question I have is we think about the name of the show, Data and Donuts. And so some people say data, some people say data, some people say data. There's no real right way to say the word, at least from what I've heard so far. And I'm happy to engage others in how they say it. But I'd really like to know, how do you say it, Z?
I'm going with data or data. I don't know about that third one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm I don't know. Yeah, data. I think I go with data, but heck, now that you say it, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's almost like we should have a survey and have people record what they say. That'd be funny. Awesome. Yeah. Well, cool. Thank you so much for hanging out today. Thank you, everybody, for watching the show. Please hit the subscribe button at the bottom, everyone. And we look forward to sharing more things and building our community of practice. Thanks again, Z, for coming out.
Cool. Thanks for having me, Aaron. Hope you have a good day, man.
You too.